So we've got a loaded agenda, and thank you all for joining. If you're on audio or if you're on video, this is ball watching. I would say kind of game one of our season in the content making realm of providing you all previews, postmortems, reactions to all of what's going to come with this first season. So Jake Koenig here, Justin Graham to my side. This is ball watching, and this is go time for us. So we are super excited. Super excited.
I don't like that you keep calling it post-mortem. Let's just call it like
Why?
post-game,
Why?
post-game.
Sometimes you gotta
Post-mortem sounds
dissect a
sad.
little bit.
It
No. It doesn't have to be sad.
It sounds
Sometimes a
sad.
post-mortem, you got to find the reason behind what went on, man. You got to dive a little bit deeper. I hope that's not how many. I hope it doesn't happen too frequently for us. But hopefully, we're just digging into all the positives that are going to go around. But there's going to be plenty of negatives, I'm sure, as well. But loaded agenda for you all. This will kind of closely mirror what we do from a game-to-game basis. We're kind of talking about how we're going to do these. I know we talked about doing one on Wednesdays, but we might go back and forth on that. So, but for today, we've got a loaded agenda. We've got a kind of an exercise back into our five-a-sides. And then we've got really, it's kind of hard to preview this match because we've never played a game. They haven't played a game at the season. They're only also a couple seasons into their tenure. But we've got a preseason review. We've got some Austin FC and City kind of matchup stats, overviews, team news, expectations there. We've got our storylines to kind of follow heading into this game, as well as our predictions from a starting 11 and just from a game outcome perspective. And finally, we've got the first installment, Justin, of Graham's Hammer, of your predictions, your best bets. I'm excited to see what you've got for us there. And then we'll get to some listener questions to round us out. All right, Justin. So I've got the topic this week for our five-a-side, and we are going with animals. So we texted about this to make sure we didn't get crossed up. But we're not talking classes of animals. We're talking specific animals. When it comes to this. And like we said before in these past couple installments, this is not a draft. Like, we're not taking this in order. We're just picking the team that we would go to battle with. And it's not really.
If you pick it, then I can't pick them.
So that is true. A draft in that sense. It is a draft in that sense where no one can be picked twice. So yes, that is right. Good clarification. So I'm going to get this kicked off. Man, I wish we had pictures to come with this, but the first one I've got from my team, I'm going to go straight to the dog category, but dog is too broad. So I'm going to go straight into golden retriever. I think a golden retriever is a top-notch animal when you think about animals on this planet. A lot of owners out there. I am one of them. I think they're beautiful, beautiful creatures. So golden is who I go with for number one.
I had dogs as my number one, but I didn't want to single out a type of dog because I like a lot of different dogs. So I went completely different direction. I went with the silverback gorilla. And here's why. Okay. I looked up a couple of facts. They share up to 98% of DNA with humans. They live between 40 to 50 years. They can walk upright. They're massive, and they can run at 25 miles per hour. The grown males are badasses. And have you seen the little ones? They are some of the cutest animals that you could ever
They are cute. So, they are cute.
From start to finish, hell of an animal.
When you're talking team, too, I mean, what I'm looking for the golden to bring is just loyalty, bought in, able to retrieve as well, long balls. And able to defend as well, got some recovery speed, and the gorilla is definitely going to be an enforcer on your team. So that's a good first round.
I'll bring the soccer aspect up.
Yeah. Okay. The second one I've got on me is what we're gonna have between the pipes for the goalkeeper here, and I'm gonna put a whale back there. I think a whale is one of the most majestic creatures on this earth, and good luck getting a goal scored past my whale. And I didn't specify on what kind of whale, so I'm going to go specific. I am going to go humpback whale.
Okay. That's fair. Yep. I have another large animal from the water, the aquatics, but it's an orca. I think the orca is the king of the ocean. Everybody always thinks it's the great white. Orcas are bigger, faster, stronger. They actually take down great whites. They hunt in pods of up to 40, and they just look way cooler. So I'm a big fan of the orca. I don't know where I'm going to put him on the field. I kind of forgot to relate this to soccer. Maybe he'll just be like a strong center back. I don't want him in goal. I have a goalie in mind.
Okay. Good stuff. We're going to take to the skies. We're going to go for an aerial threat for my third pick, and we're going to go to the bald eagle. You got to have someone that's willing to get up there and go vertical and provide some overview as well, looking at team tactics and looking to scout out what the other team's up to, drawing up next plays. The bald eagle specifically is going to bring that, and representing the States as well. So I've got that as my third pick.
I'm putting 0 birds in my lineup. Birds are not cool. I'm gonna go with my goalie. I'm gonna go with the Siberian tiger. Put a cat in goal, and tell me what's gonna stop it. It's got a stronger bite force and a stronger force than a lion. So in case if you ever try to go to the lion, I'm gonna bring that down right now. World's largest cat. Their night vision is 6 times stronger than humans. And it can absolutely just put away food, up to 60 pounds in a single night. And Siberian tigers, being from Siberia, they need at least 20 pounds a day. Just also sounds like something fun.
Okay. I can respect that. For my fourth pick, we're going to the land down under, going to the kangaroo. This thing's going to have some good energy. It's not going to take a beating from the team. It's actually going to dish it out either with the legs or a couple right hooks or left hooks. So I got faith in the kangaroo to stand up for a player when there's a tough challenge. Definitely be a backbone of a team, but it may be some captain material as well on the pitch. So I go to the kangaroo from my 4th spot.
I like the kangaroo. I had them as my 5th spot for an X factor. Those things can be huge, and they box. And
they are
95%
yep.
of kangaroos are left-handed. I don't know where I found some of these facts. That may just be off the wall. But
yeah, no, I knew that. I was thinking about the left side of the field as well.
Yeah. All right, I'm just going to go with a very typical one. Just as your steady Eddie, man that's always been around, the horse. The horse is something that, and I really should have thought about this more in soccer, but going way back to the days of they were used in battle, they were used for hunting. Nowadays, people just have them as pets, essentially. You can take them on horseback rides through the mountaintops. You can do whatever you want with them. They can go up to 30 miles an hour. I just think they're my utility guy, is how I'm going to put it for the soccer sense. Yeah.
They're workhorses, man. I mean, one of them could probably suit up for City. Absolutely. In rounding out my 5, we're going to have a workhorse as well, but not a horse here, but someone that's got relentless energy, can communicate as well, albeit in a different way. But I'm going to the dolphin. Dolphin's going to be running the channels. The wings probably providing a lot of legs for the team, a lot of energy, a good vibe as well, some good confidence and just positive energy. So I'm looking at the dolphin for my 5 spot.
And now that we are relating it to soccer, I was going to go grizzly bear, but I already have like a really large team. And I'm just going to go with kind of like one of my favorite animals. I'm going with the penguin. I don't really know how they're going to translate into soccer, but I just think they kind of speak for themselves. Very unique. I don't know what else is like a penguin. They can go up to 22 miles per hour in the water, so they're extremely fast. I think they could probably go even faster going down the hill when they're sliding on their bellies. And they're cute. You ever seen Happy Feet? Phenomenal.
So I have. Hey, could be helpful on those away trips to Minnesota or Montreal, definitely. So those cold games, absolutely looking at the penguin. All right, that wraps up the 5-a-side. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that. We're going to move straight into the first thing we have for you all today, which is around the preseason. Preseason for City. It kind of came and went, and we'll talk about just kind of the frustration behind like not really being able to get to look behind the curtain if you're not really media or just a lack of coverage in general. But City for us in the preseason went 1-3-2. So 1 win, 3 draws, and 2 losses. And let me just tell you, I just said that the record doesn't matter at all in the preseason. I'd say the most meaningful games comes towards the end, and that's when they're really trying to put on almost like a dress rehearsal of sorts. But we played some strong opposition, Justin. I think you put together some stats on some of these teams we played.
Yeah, so I mean, of the teams that we played in the 6 games, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them made the playoffs, and Philadelphia lost in the finals to LAFC. Miami, who we beat 4-0, also made the playoffs, and then we lost to LA Galaxy 4-1, and they eventually lost to LAFC, who was the champion as well of MLS. So, like you said, I don't think there's a whole lot to read into, but just to give you a little bit of clarity on these teams, it's not like we were playing bottom feeders in these games. So definitely not a bad result as a total.
No, absolutely. And we're just going to kind of take a look into some of the highlights, some of the lowlights, and some of the things to kind of round us all out before we get into the regular season here. But highlights for me, it was good to see goals. I think goals are something that we kind of talked about a little bit on the preseason predictions and for our first season. And you want to see goals coming, and they're coming from a wealth of different people, whether that's Klaus, Joaquini, Indiana Vasilev. We're having contributions from people that aren't just Klaus, so I'm excited to see that. We also established a pretty good presence, I thought, in set pieces. We had a couple goals from there. And if you're a team that's going to play like us, you may not always have possession or building the best of chances. So it's going to be important to be lethal when you do have them. So I like to see those couple of things. Those are like the first kind of things that immediately come to my mind. Anything come to your mind, Justin?
I think it's really hard to say, honestly, Jake. I know you did a lot of research trying to find these. I think that's before we get way into the low light, I think it's a low light that the MLS needs to do better on being able to stream these and us be able to find facts. But yeah, we did score 11 goals in 6 games. I think that's extremely important to our team. I think one thing that is also important, though, is that we are kind of giving up a lot of goals, looking that we lost to LA 4-1. We tied at NYFC 3-3. So got to tighten that up a little bit. But I think that'll come as we kind of merge and find our feel as a team as well. But I think one of the more exciting things is what we did find, even without being able to see the games, is we have a pretty good idea of who our starting 11 is and who's going to be coming off the bench from that standpoint.
Agreed. The last kind of thing is I'll end us on a positive note when you talk about this. And I looked at an article from STL today and doing some research for this episode. And I did find that they have their own statistics group going internally at the club right now. And this group was actually pretty thrilled with some of the results they had from a data perspective. We talked about XG during the World Cup, I believe, and Bradley Carnell and the team were able to put together that through this preseason, this team allowed less than 1 XG a game. And just a reminder for what that means is when it comes against us, we're talking that the other team, when it comes to quantifying the viability of their chances or how good the other team's chances were against us to score, that all adds up to less than 1. So a PK might be a 1 flat. A 40-yard shot that someone's taking that has no chance might be a 0.1 or even less. So when it came to average per game, we were allowing less than 1 times goal. You just heard what you said, though, Justin. Like, we allowed a couple goals in a couple games. That doesn't necessarily mean that we had a 3 or a 4 XG against us. That just means that those teams are finishing their chances. So that was a good thing to look at some underlying data. And honestly, a good positive to head into the season. I think we'll need a really stout defense to really be competing in some of these games. We had some, of course, breaking news, though, today. And not breaking. Yeah, actually, 2 pieces of news came out today as we were prepping for this. So we just want to make sure we cover this before we go into the season. But Miggy Perez, welcome to the club. 17 years old. We're getting even younger. This man has played for our academy, for City 2 last year, featured a ton of minutes in this preseason with this group. I feel like it was just some time before he was actually going to get signed. He also featured for our U21 UPSL team. He was our first ever academy goal scorer. Welcome to the club, Miggy. And also sick nickname. I'm glad we have a Miggy on the team.
I saw you with that tweet. That I think that's his Twitter handle. I love that. The other exciting news is a little bit more just MLS wide, not just for City, but they're expanding the playoff structure. So 9 teams per conference it's going to be the most of a normal season yet. There was a makeshift model with COVID when there was 10, but it's going to open up with a wild card round. So it'll be exciting to see the teams that finish in the 8th and 9th spot will have a 1-game match to see who kind of gets in from there. And then it'll kind of go into your typical playoff match from there. But what are your thoughts on that, Jake?
My thoughts. So it's a little bit weird because they have the wild card now to sort out your 9 and 8 seeds and let one of those teams in. And then the first round, I don't know if you saw, is actually a 3-game series. So you have to win 2 games. There are no ties, no draws. So I assume you go straight to PKs after full time or extra time, whatever that is. But that's the only round that's like that. Then the conference semifinals, conference finals, and finals are all still 1 game with the higher seed hosting. So interesting. And I think it depends on who you ask in terms of the feelings of that they like this or not. Generally, perusing social media today, I would say the vibe was pretty negative towards this, and I get it, because if you think about the winners and losers of this deal, the winner for me is probably us in this sense, the City fans specifically, because we stand less of a chance definitely gets to the playoffs than most teams do this season, just because we're an unknown. But for us now, it just got that much easier. There's now 62% of the teams getting into the playoffs with this new format. So we're kind of getting into like hockey type status. And you can argue about whether you want that or not. But good for us personally as City fans. Good for owners, more money in their pocket. If you're a playoff team, you get to host at least 1 home game at your stadium. So more revenue there. Good for Apple. Hopefully looking to attract more fans to their streaming service and to MLS Season Pass towards the end. Because what if you're just a guy that wants to watch playoffs? There's going to be a load of playoff games now that you can watch. So good for like the more casual fans. Losers, the clubs that play the full seasons, that have US Open Cup going, that have Leagues Cup going, that have CONCACAF Champions League. You're looking at playing like upwards of 60 games if you're making extended runs in those. Fans that are fans of these teams long time, it's like a little bit taking away the importance of regular season, I kind of think. I don't know what you think about that, but it's like you play 34 games, but still almost 2/3 of the teams are getting in regardless.
It's intriguing to me. I think they're really trying to open it up, especially with really just trying to take in as much of the fan base as they can right now, and just adding more games is the way to go. But it's definitely not something I'm assuming the players are going to like. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting to let them kind of play with that, especially as we're adding what is possibly the last expansion draft team or however many they want to do after that. They're trying to probably find their foot in cement and then move forward with that. So they still have a little time to play around with it, but I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I guess in the short term, good for you all to know we stand more of a chance as of today, February 21st, or if you're listening to this on the 22nd, we have more of a chance now to get in the playoffs. So, I'm excited.
The MLS still tweeted and put an Instagram out that we have less than 1% chance to win the cup. So
yeah, MLS can GTFO with that one. Let's get into the game. Let's get into the game, man. I mean, obviously, we are only a couple days away from the first ever inaugural game of St. Louis City SC, and we are playing one of the more recent expansion sides in Austin FC, and one of the most recent kind of contenders as of last season. Austin FC is an interesting one. They are a pretty good team as of last year. Didn't have a great first season as an expansion side, but they clicked a lot better last season. But they play a cool kind of style of attacking soccer. They do a lot more of the possession type. Positioning is extremely important. They're very, very rigid in how they play their positions, and knowing that kind of awareness, I think you'll all kind of pick up on that. And I think that's why they kind of went wrong in their first season. But given time, they kind of grew into it in season 2, had some guys kind of come to life. We'll talk about a few of those, but they're a good team. Make no doubts about it. They are going to give us some trouble.
I think what's going to be exciting, though, in this game, Jake, that I think you had a very good point in some of our notes, is that they look to build out from the back, which can be good and bad for them. But I think one of our main things is that we're going to be pressing high. So if we can, it's going to be who can win that battle on their back line of when they're trying to build out and trying to pass out. Because you have a note that they had in 2021 season, they had 13 goals conceded directly from their buildup, which is not something you ever want to have a stat of. It's essentially just blunders in the back of either passing it up to your midfield or it's passing it straight to the opposition and straight to your goalkeeper of a one-on-one. So I'm hoping that we can kind of take that on. I know they play a very similar kind of build up of a 4-2-3-1 that we do. But if we can press high enough, I think we can turn some balls over.
Yeah, it's an opportunity as well. I think it's a little bit of a tough game to start on for us. But if you're looking at how our playing styles match up, I feel like one team will definitely establish dominance in this game over time, because they're so different. Like if that is their strength and our strength is trying to press and create issues for them in their own side of the field, it's like, okay, well, who's winning on the day? Because we're going directly against each other. Some players to kind of watch out for Austin FC. Kind of 3 that come to my mind in terms of some of their best players, but Sebastian Drusi is a attacking midfielder striker for them, was an absolute firecracker last season. He made his debut for them in August of 2021. Since then, he has scored 30 goals, had 12 assists in 54 total appearances. You're talking about productivity. That man is productive. Just last season, he had 22 of those goals and 29 total contributions. So he ranked 2nd and 3rd in those 2 stats for the MLS last year.
I'm planning on a sophomore slump from him this year.
Hopefully it starts. Yeah, hopefully it starts this Saturday. Diego Fagundes, I hate to call him this, kind of like his Robin. Where if he's Batman, I'm trying to talk about Sebastian Drusi. Diego Fagundes is the one that's putting it on a plate to him. He also has goals in his locker, but had 15 assists last season. An incredible player in his own right. He plays on the left side of the wing. Nick Lima is another name you guys might have heard of. He played for the national team a couple times, as a couple caps for our U.S. men's national team. But he's 150 appearances in the MLS. He's an MLS kind of journeyman. You kind of think of maybe him and Tim Parker probably have a lot of veteran and tenure together in this league. He's a steady, solid right back. You probably won't see his name flash up as much, but those are some of the players that I'd say are probably pretty key to their success.
I would agree. And kind of moving on to us a little bit, I know we already talked about our style and we already did a full preview of the team and everything, but I do think that our pressing is going to be extremely important down there. I know the guys have already been in Florida and trading. This is going to be hot. You know, we're already looking at the weather. It's going to be a high of 80 that day. So these guys are going to be flying around. The atmosphere is going to be crazy. You got to be able to bring that energy down a little bit and reserve it and kind of take it in and then play the ball as well. So I think it's going to be extremely important for us. being a new team, being a young team, that we don't just go out there and blow our legs out in the first half. So I think that'll be extremely important. And then obviously some of the main guys. We already came out this week that we have Roman Berkey as our captain. We have Tim Parker as our vice captain. So I think those guys are going to be extremely important for us as well, bringing their veteranness and their experience to the game and helping kind of calm things down.
Yeah, I almost think too another name that we haven't mentioned yet is Blum in the midfield, assuming he's one that starts, and we'll get into our starting 11. But when you think about this team, if they're going to try to be incisive with their passing and super creative, we're going to need someone to help defend our back four, and probably will do a good amount of defending. So I would expect to see him very active in this game in the central defensive midfield side. Otherwise, how else do we match up? It's so hard. We have no shared history with this team. We have no game under our belt at this level yet. But Austin FC, like I mentioned, was a beast in 2022. They ended their second ever season as the number 2 in the Western Conference, losing to eventual winner LAFC. They also had a tendency to come from behind as well. They were the only team in MLS history to make a comeback win from being 2 goals behind 4 times last season. So this team is down, but never out. Like I said, it's a tough matchup to start our MLS season with. But you know what? If you're going to be the best, you definitely got to start to play with some of these guys as well. So let's get into some of the storylines, Justin, that we should be aware of heading into this game.
I would say they're extremely strong, just honestly across the board, Dick. We were trying to do a little bit digress on this team, especially in center back. They also have center forward with Jesse Zardes. And then one kind of an honorable mention, a St. Louis guy, Will Bruin. He's towards the end of his career. He just signed a 1-year deal with them. He has 77 career goals and is 15th in games plays with 310. So I think we might see him on a sub, looking at some stats. I know he came with them late last year, but he's definitely not going to be a starter for them, but could be fun to see a St. Louis guy play against a St. Louis team in the first game. And then another quick honorable mention, Kip Keller, SLU Billiken grad, 5th overall pick in the 2022 Super Draft. He's a supplemental player for them, so we might see him get a couple minutes here or there. But Claudio Reyna, who is the sporting director of Austin, he basically said that he would relate Kip to Walker Zimmerman and Tim Parker, which are some pretty big names to the MLS. Yeah. So big shoes to look forward to for him.
Yeah, Austin's going to be a good team this year. They've really, I think, only reinforced a couple outgoings, but a couple big incomings for them. Probably going to be another contender. Both probably contending here in the MLS, but also in CONCACAF Champions League, what they also qualified for. For us, it's our first ever match against a very strong opponent at their home. They have a great fan base. Will our energy drink soccer come to life in this first game, and will it be able to be executed against a team that is kind of conducive to what we're trying to bring? So we shall see. Can we be lethal enough to get on the board, make the most of our chances, and soak in what I expect to be waves of attack from Austin, who had the 3rd most goals for last year? So let's get into some predictions, some expectations coming from. Let's go with starting 11. Let me get this picture up, Justin. For anyone watching visually, we will share the screen here. For those not and just listening via the podcast, we will voice it over for you. So now you can see this, but essentially not much of a change. Actually, no changes from our last preseason game against Atlanta. This is at least our predictions from what we've seen. Really important to start from the back. Roman Berkey going to be our captain. We know Tim Parker now to be his vice captain. So leadership stuck right in the back of the field there, which is great. Kyle Hebert probably going to slot in as a left center back to cover for our eventual incumbent. I would expect to be Joachim Nilsson. But Kyle looks like he's had a great preseason. He's kind of cemented himself as the number 2 in that left center back role. So good for him. You know what? It's when someone's hurt, this is an opportunity for him to put himself as a player into Bradley Carnell and the coaching staff's mind and say, hey, I'm ready for this level. Put me in, coach. So back line, I'll finish it out here, Justin. You can take us to the midfield. But John Nelson at left back, a little bit more of a traditional left back for us, very defensive minded, but could contribute as well from a passing and kind of moving forward point of view. And Jake Nerwinski, who bolsters us with a lot of MLS experience. So I'm happy to see him on that back line with us. I'm pretty happy with the back line. Obviously, we'd love to see Nilsson there, but I think it's guys that got a lot of minutes together in preseason and hopefully develop some sort of camaraderie.
I think the back line looks great. And then we slowly move forward into what it's probably going to be more of like the holding 2 minutes for us to be Edu Leuven and Angelo Blum. I think I'm always going to try to run through that name because I'm going to say it wrong.
Just hit speed up.
Yeah, just say. But I think they're going to be extremely strong for us and be able to still hold the ball, keep the guys in front of them. I think be able to dish it and be able to play composed, and that's what we're going to need to do to get it up to Thomas Ostrak, who's going to be sitting underneath of Joao Klaus, and then on the wings we're going to look at Rasmus Alm and Jared Stroud. So I think we're really, for us to be successful in this, those three guys in the middle, Leuven, Ostrak, and Blum, need to be able to read off of what Stroud, Klaus, and Alm are doing when they're pressing and close that space. And then still, once the ball is turned over, be able to move it quickly and get it off their own feet.
Yep. No, exactly. And then, the big man up top, Joao Klaus, will be at the helm for us. Looking to count on him for goal contributions, but not just that. So I don't want to just say that that's his only job as goals. I think he will be there to hold the ball sometimes when we're under a lot of pressure. For example, in this game against Austin, I expect to be under waves of pressure, like I already said. Sometimes it'll be important to just be able to have an outlet and to get Klaus the ball and to have him hold it until we can get more guys up the field and get out of our own half. So it'll be important for him to have that in this role here, but also connecting play. We have some dangerous wingers in Jared Stroud, Rasmus Alm, and then also, Nico Gioacchini off the bench, and Indiana Vasilev, also another person that's probably going to feature in this game as part of the midfield or on the wings. So being able to connect those plays, play them in, free up space for them. This guy has a big, big role to play, just like everyone on this team. I just don't want anyone to just think that his only reason for being here is for goals, but that is a huge reason for him to be here, and I expect him to get on the board. I could see him scoring in this game if we're going to have a chance.
I completely agree.
All right. That is our starting 11 predictions for you all. Let me stop sharing on the screen here, and let's get back into the rest of our agenda for today. So we've got some predictions, Justin, going into this. I think just from a narrative perspective, I expect both teams to really come out the gates hot in this game. It's the first game of each other's season. You expect there to be a lot of pent-up energy to finally play against other opposition in a meaningful fixture like this. You could debate how meaningful these really are when you see how the playoffs have been expanded, but still going to be meaningful. I think there could be an early goal in this one or two before things kind of get settled down and we really start to kind of feel each other out. I don't see this one being a very tentative start to the game. I see it being very aggressive from the start. I think we're going to come out flying, especially we're just a lot of excitement, man. Like, who doesn't want to get on the field for the first ever game for your club and just light it up from the start?
I would agree. The only thing I would say, I'm hoping Bradley Carnell can calm these guys down from the beginning. Yeah. I don't think we need to be flying all over the field. Like I said, it's going to be it's going to be a long game. So let's try to take on their first couple 15, 20 minutes when they're extremely excited. Their first home game. They just had a hell of a season. Their crowd's going to be nuts. We'll be there. But I think let's try to take that in and not give one up in the first 15 minutes, and then we'll see what we can go from there. What is your full game prediction?
Yeah. This is really tough for me, man, because I couldn't in my mind put a loss out there for our first ever game just because of just all the emotion and things that go into this first game and how long we've been thinking about this very game itself. And I also don't think we're going to keep them off the board. So what I think is a best result for us, would be a draw, and it would be a high scoring draw. So I'm thinking 2-2 would be my initial thought. I would be stoked if we came out of this game with a point, and especially putting some goals on the board past a good team.
Yeah, I couldn't get past. I don't know if we're going to win this game. I do think that we will get a goal. I think they will get goals. So I have us losing 2-1. I think if we could put 2 away, I think there's a chance that if we're putting 2 away, we could put a third away and possibly take the dub out of this. But yeah. I am going to try to be realistic on this first one and put a 2-1 L. We're going to have a hard-fought game. We're going to get our first goal from Joao Klaus. It's going to be exciting to watch.
And my thing is, too, even if we do lose, like, who cares? That's one game. There's 33 others, plus U.S. Open, plus Leagues Cup, plus maybe playoffs if we're able to get there. So, I mean, this is a good team, too. Like, let's go out there and let's show progress. Let's have a good start to our campaign, and I'd be more than happy with that. And there's a lot of ways that could happen. So I think, generally there's a lot of ways we could be successful in this game. It may not be on the scoreboard.
I would agree.
All right.
But yeah, I was about to say, we can bring that into, if you would like to bet on it, we can have a little betting corner as well. So if you talk about money. We'll give a quick rundown on this. Money line. If you bet the money line, which means whichever team to win, Austin FC is minus 205, and we are plus 450. That means if you bet $205 on Austin to win and they win, you would only win $100 on top of that. If you bet 100 on us to win, you'd win 450. These are the longest odds out of any first game so far. You can also bet on a tie to happen at plus 330. So that's not as exciting. I would say the one thing that you can look that is a little more fun if you're not sure who's going to win the game is the over-under in goals. That's currently set at 2.5. So if you'd like for us to have, if you like the score for Jake and I both said 2-2 and 2-1, we would think that it would be over 2.5. So that'd be a minus 145 bet. If you say the under, plus 110, less odds there. And my hammer is for both teams to score, minus 125. I think that's an absolute lock. I think that's my favorite bet solely because, like you said, I think it's going to be high energy, very exciting game. I can't bet on us not to score in the game, and we can't win the game or tie the game. I guess we could tie if we don't score, but there's no chance there's not going to be a goal in this game. Hammer both teams to score, minus 125.
Yeah, there's some good value there as well. I mean, they're expecting goals in this game. The over-under was set at 2.5, and if you're betting over 2.5, so you're betting 3 goals to be scored in this game, that's minus 145. So not very great odds in terms of winning money much on that. So it's great news for you. I think both teams to score is a good look at this one. So I think that's a good official hammer.
And I would say we have a couple of the boys going down there with Jake and I. We will probably be on the safer side of the money line bet, and you can do draw and no bet. So if City wins, you win your bet at plus 340, or if we tie the game, you get your money back. And I think that's probably a little bit of a safer side for us. I wouldn't go all in on us just to get the dub.
Yes, sir. So if you are in a betting legal state or you want to drive across the border, I know Missouri is right in between a couple of them. Thinking of Kansas and Illinois specifically, go win some money. We're going to keep Justin honest on this for you all too. We're going to have a tracker to make sure that he's not leading you all astray and losing money. So we will bring that back here as well.
Absolutely.
Let's round out with some listener questions, Justin. We got a couple coming in from this one. The first one we got from Austin. And Austin, I feel these vibes, man. So Austin says, so we're going to lose, right? We're ride or die on this, but this will be tough. I think we've kept pretty consistent with that message. Justin, you had that in your prediction. I think everyone and their mother expects us to lose, but maybe some people here in St. Louis. Definitely gonna ride or die no matter what happens. This will be a tough freaking game. If it came the first game, if it came the 10th game, the 25th game, this is always gonna be a tough game for us.
I would say regardless of what happens, though, just be excited. It's finally here. It still doesn't feel real that it's here. It's been taking so long. But we do have another question from Adam. Do you think Kip Keller will have emotions and butterflies about playing his hometown team in such a big game? I hope that Kip sees the field. I'm not 100% sure on what his minutes are going to look like, but yeah, absolutely. And I really do hope that he gets on because that would be an awesome moment for a kid from St. Louis, went to SLU, and that he can actually play against them in the first ever game.
Yep, agreed. And finally, we had a question from Brooks and a couple questions within this question here. But score prediction, we gave ours. I said 2-2. Justin said 2-1 loss. First City scorer, I'm on you with Klaus. I agree. I think if anyone's going to score the goal, I think it will be Klaus in this first one, which is so cliche to say, but I mean that's like what he's here for. So I got to put the money on him. And then they actually had an idea for us as well. So just let me know what you think about this. But doing player ratings after each game, with 6 being average, and compare how they do. So I think we could look to absolutely do that in how we do these kind of, whatever you want to call them, not postmortems, reactions, thoughts on the game.
Yeah, post-game debriefs is what we'll call them. And yeah, we'll absolutely do some. We'll do like some superlatives or something like that as well. So that's a great idea, Brooks.
And as to when you all hear from us next, a little bit up in the air. Like we said, we are going to be in Austin with some friends who are stoked to see this game as well. But I think, Justin, I don't want to commit to this, but we might be on for a quick debrief after the game. I don't know if it'll be video, audio, what we're going to do, but I think there's going to be so much excitement, especially even whatever happens in this game. It doesn't really even matter. There'll be excitement that we finally have our first game under our belt. So look to maybe hear from us, I don't know when, but probably shortly after, maybe the day after or the day after that, to kind of break down what we thought from this game, because I think it'll be a lot to learn in this first ever fixture for us, and we'll kind of take it from there. But
it's going to be a very long day on Saturday, so yep. I don't know how much you're going to hear from us afterwards, but definitely we'll be posting some content. Look at the tweets, look at the Instagram stories. We'll get some posts up, and we'll show you guys what Austin's like.
Literally on the dot, we got a comment coming in here from Rono_jar. I do not have the name here, but thank you for submitting the comment. A vlog could be interesting. We were thinking about maybe doing some video content. Like we said, we're going to be there. We might as well do something kind of fun. So I think between us both, we could have some good ideas. Maybe do something special for you all. But so maybe we shall see. Thanks for the question, or thanks for the comment there. But this is it for us for this first installment. Like I said, this is just the beginning of what are to be tons and tons of episodes coming from us over the next couple of weeks and months. So we are stoked to be in this position to bring that to you all, and hope you all are too. So shoot us your feedback or thoughts you have. We are strapping in for what's to be a long season, man. I mean, this is going to be every week, maybe a couple times a week for the next 6-ish months, hopefully more. Actually, no, even longer than that. So yeah, we have quite a ways.
9.
Yeah,
plenty of time.
It's going to be crazy.
We'll be here all year.
We are strapped in. We are ready for it. This is Ball Watching STL. Follow us at Ball Watching STL on Twitter and Instagram if you haven't already. We put some good stuff out there. We do some memes sometimes. We definitely dabble. This will be on YouTube. If you're catching us on YouTube, great. If you're not, Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, Amazon. Shoot us a rating. Shoot us a review if you have. We would love to hear from you all and make sure that you're spreading the love with your friends and family if they're interested in this kind of thing too. We're all here to learn and grow and become bigger soccer fans and support this new team coming to St. Louis. So, Justin, anything before we wrap up for the day?
That's all right. It's finally here. Let's go City.
It is here. We've earned it. We've been patient. Can't wait for Saturday, man. All for City.